Hello, are you here to learn some Rust? So today we are going to do a mini project on Rust in which we create a quiz system. This video is divided into multiple parts. So today we are just focusing on the Rust backend where we just create like a command line user interface where you can basically ask some question to the user and user can give a reply and you can tell him that it's a correct answer or not. I'm not a super expert of Rust, so we will learn together. We will grow together. So the first thing you need to do is you need to create a quiz project. For that, you need to do cargo new and we do like quiz underscore system and then we press enter. So this will create our quiz underscore system and you can see that it has created a new project with cargo.ml and a source file called main.rs. What I'm going to do here in quiz system, I'm going to create a new data folder which will contain our question.cv. So this is a sample.csv that I created before because I didn't want it to spend time during the video on this, which contains some basic sample questions, the answer 1 and the answer 2 and what the correct answer is. So our whole procedure is to read this CSV into our code and then basically print the question to the user and accept the answer from the user and match basically with the correct answer. Sounds simple, right? But you will see that we are going to learn a lot in this video. Now, looking at our main.rs, currently it looks very simple. So as it looks simple, let's run it and complete our first step. So, okay, we need to move inside the quiz system and then use cargo run. And as you see video cargo run, you see a hello world. So congratulations. Now you have achieved your first step into Rust. You have built your first program. Now we move into what we need to do. So the first step is to basically read the CSV. In other languages, you can just use CSV reader. What we are going to use here is we are going to create a structure here, which is very simple, right? So we are going to create a structure called quiz in which there will be four fields. So the first field is answer, which will be of string type, obviously. We know the first field with the question, not the answer. So the question of string type. Then we have the answer one. Then we have answer two, which is of string type. And we have the correct answer. You might be asking yourself, like, why I wanted to write the question first, not the answer one first? And does these, like, the names are very similar to the headers of the CSV? Yes, we need to do that. Otherwise, we won't be able to deserialize this. Now, as we have already talked that we want to deserialize this, let's do one thing. Let's derive some traits. So what we are going to do is we are going to derive two traits. One is called debug, which is basically nothing but like a pretty printing. So if you want to print the whole structure, we can use a debug trait, and then we use deserialize. So we use deserialize. Okay, now you won't like as soon as I put this, you might see a red line onto this because obviously we don't know what deserialize is, but currently yeah, because we haven't read the correct derive, and then we press enter, we save basically, and we don't see a red line. Okay, fine, we don't see a red line, we move on. And then basically what the first thing we need to do is to create a file. So here we create a file and we do file colon colon open, and basically we give the path. You might be wondering that why I'm giving the path like this, because you have to wait in the video to see why and what errors we can get, because you understand that this is a learning video, right? And then we do data and we write question dot csv and we do it like this, fine, and this is fine. Okay, and then we will put here a question mark. Now what does a question mark stand for? The question mark stand for is like if there's an error, then the rust, okay, the directory name is invalid, okay, fine, and something like this. So basically my rust analyzer is not working. So if your rust analyzer is not working, then basically you might need to restart the Visual Studio Code. And it's a good thing that you restart the Visual Studio Code, because rust analyzer is one of the most important thing that you want to work with, because it really helps you with your syntaxes, with your pretty printing, and a lot of things. So now you can see that we get error in deserialize. The error is the same same in any other programming language because your compiler doesn't know where you are using deserialize from. So we are using deserialize from a crate known as Serde. And what we need to do is we need to add that crate. So we do cargo add Serde. Now we did that. Okay, fine. And then we basically use it in our language like use Serde deserialize, right? Now it should work. No, it is still showing an error. Okay, wow. Oh, right. I'm using deserialize with derive, right? So you have to go to your cargo.ml and there is no feature here is called derive. So what I need to do is that I need to add a feature here which basically say that I'm using it with derive. So I go to my version, I put equal to this, and then I use comma, I use feature feature equal to derive, deriv, and then basically I close it and I save this out. Is my deserialize gone? Now you see it's gone because now your compiler knows that everything is working fine. Now, moving to the next part, or maybe your compiler is not working anymore because there is a problem with the Rust analyzer and it shows that, so it says X cargo watcher failed, the command is no wallet metadata. It's definitely because of the reason that, there's a problem with cargo.yaml and that's why it's not working. So maybe I did something with cargo.yaml, which I don't know about, and that's why it's not working. Okay, so let's wait for it to work because analyzer is one of the most important thing you will need. But in the meanwhile, we can move to our question.csv. We can see that we have our file open and now it's working everything fine. The Serde is also working fine and everything is working fine. Now it shows an error in file. Obviously, that's a usual error because you haven't like imported file. So where does the file lies? So you use std fs file and then you find the file trait and everything is working now. Perfect. Now we move to the next step. You see now the question mark is showing an error. What does the question mark showing an error? The question mark is basically that you need a return type of result or this. Okay, I need a return type. Then you can basically copy it from here. You go here, you paste the return type. So this is a return type. Now this is showing an error. Why it is showing an error? Because it says that implicitly return this has a tail or no return. This means that, okay, this might function give an error, but what happens if everything is okay? So then you have to write okay, and now everything is fine. So you have achieved your first part basically where you are able to read the file.date.csv and then basically you are storing it in a file variable. Our next part is we need to deserialize it. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a mutable reader because reader should be mutable, otherwise it won't work. And then you are going to use a reader, right? Now it again shows that the reader you don't know. So what we are going to use is that we are going to like import the reader. So we use a reader from use CSV reader. Okay, and then we put a column. Now, if we don't have a CSV yet, okay, you know what to do. You just do cargo add CSV and then you run it and then everything works. Now you have a reader and now basically what you're going to do is that so you're going to get a from reader and you are going to pass our file into it. And this basically returns you the object of the reader and this is RDR. Now you are going to read, it shows an error here. Let me see why. Because um, here's an error expected println on this. That is really strange why this error should not be here, but we can look into this error again. So expected value from struct here already configured a CSV header. Okay, it's fine. We can basically come back to this error. Maybe this error is some because of something else, or maybe this error is because of me, but we can always come back to this error. But I don't think this error is because. Okay, so Let mute question. Now we are going to use this reader. So I'm going to create a question which is basically of vec type of our quiz system. And then basically we are going to use our reader variable rdr dot deserialize, and then we are going to basically collect some information. So for example, if something doesn't work, then basically we use result, and then we for the result we have two parameters. We give colon and like underscore and underscore, and then we basically close this out with this kind of thing, and then we basically call our and the last part is our question mark, because if it this throws an error, it should be quotable. Now everything works here. If something doesn't work, we will come to know. And no, everything looks right. Okay, it shows something here, unexpected semicolon. Yeah, means I think it's because of the println that we are using println every time, so it might be possible that it is showing some error because of this, but I think we are good to go. Now the first part of our question is basically let's print our questions. We don't know whether our questions are like working or not working or something else. So what we are going to do is very simple. We are going to go for, let's say, I comma question, and we can rename this variable as question, and then we are going to use the basic for loop that everyone we have in questions dot iterator dot enumerate, and then we are going to use our println, and then we are going to say question, like this will be replaced with the I, and then this is our actual question. Basically this question mark here, what our debug thing which we have derived here comes into picture, which is really nice. Okay, and then we put basically a comma here, and then we pass our I and our question. Okay, the result here is also showing an error. It takes two generic arguments applied, one defined, one generic penalty, remove. I think one thing which we need is to basically import the error as well, but I don't think we did it right now. But I think we have done some mistake in calling deserialize method, in which collect doesn't have this thing here. Okay, and now this looks fine, in which the result is basically two parameters defined here. This is okay, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. And then we put this here, and we have to close down our bracket. And we have to remove this thing here from here. And here as well. And this looks now more thing, right? Okay. Okay, let's run it and let's see. So to run it, you just do cargo and run, which we have done everything. And then let's see what happens. So it is compiling everything, the CSV library, and it shows that result except one generic argument and basically two are provided, which actually, which is basically our problem, that why we are not able to find the generic argument. Maybe the issue could be that it's trying to read the result from CSV, which we basically don't want, because it is not our result error, and we want to use, I think, from the error library, which is actually compiler can figure it out. So what it was trying to do is that you can see here that it's trying to take, like as soon as we define the result, and it tried to take the result from the CSV, which basically we didn't want. We want to use the default result, which is comes with the our cargo.toml. So this was the issue. So we can do the clear here, and then we do again cargo.run, and it says process didn't successfully because this not fine. So now the question that why it is not able to find this thing. This is the same mistake that we do every time, and I also do it every time. That the thing is this, the path here is basically it is trying to look like when everything compiles, everything go to target, and your file, this file is not going to target. So what we need to do? So let's do the easiest thing we do. We copy the absolute path of the file. We are not working today with a relative path, and for our life we want to make it easier, so we do this. And then we write R in front of it. Now let's see if it works or not. So we do clear again and we do our cargo.run again. And now you see that everything is perfect. The way you can see this is because of the debug thing you can use here. And this warning you can ignore because as you're not using quiz in your actual code, like for example in your vector field, that's why this warning is. But if you want to use, either you can create a quiz, you can also ignore this warning. And currently in my video right now, we are ignored this warning. Now comes the next part. So I want to ask like basically some questions to the user randomly, right? So to the random things, we are going to use one more thing which comes from a different class called use rand sequence called slice random. Now this is bit tricky. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to add a new class called cargo add rand, and this now it works fine. So to get a random variable, what we are going to do is basically we are going to get let mute rng, which is nothing but type of it would be rnd and then rng type, and then we put a colon here to declare a new type, and then what we do is that we do questions dot shuffle. Basically, we are going to shuffle with a random value and then we put RNG into it. And to put RNG in it, we have to also part mutable dot RNG, and this is fine. And now basically what we want to do is that this somehow doesn't work. It says RNG, it should exist in process C. It does exist. Function with similar RNG.C. No. It's okay. We can think about this later on, and basically here it happens, and then yeah, and then we are going to use like take of two. Basically, we want to basically take two values from our shuffled questions and work on the following. Okay, so let's see why this is not working, and then we can move forward. Pulsing expected tuple and ggg and right, yes. So the thing is this, I know the issue. The thing is this, you need to mention what thing you want here. So basically I want this thing here and then it should work. But I want thread.rng from this when I'm using rand.range. It says that the rand is not able to find range, and this is because maybe no, this should work. You see, the the naming convention matter. I was writing capital R, and that was why it was not working. With a small r, it does work. Now we just need to run the two, and then you know what will happen. So if we do cargo.run now, you see now randomly you get two questions. If we do cargo run now, you get two more questions, but like these are like random, right? Now what we need to do is that we need to take our input from the user. That was our first part. So now we know that we are going to print the question, and in the same way we are going to print our options. So our options are, so we give first here and then the space, and then second here, and then the space, and we can actually remove this thing, and from here we can remove this thing, and we can take question dot question, and then here instead of question we give answer 2, and at the first place we give question dot answer 1, right? Now to take the user from like answer from user, so we have to create let mute answer yes and jar, and then it should be string colon colon new, and then we give a bracket, so we are creating a new string variable. Mhm. And then basically we do like answer is equal to which is not actually answer dot equal to, you should use the IO library for that, so we use IO dot stdin. It will not find stdin, and for that you have to basically import it out again, so you have to do like use io colon colon std. It should work actually. So let's work on it. Why it was not able to find IO. So I think because there's a difference between dot and colon here. So you cannot use a dot here, and that's what the answer was. So we std. I think it should be capital S. I think so as well. So std. No, it was so it's still not able to find this. IO colon colon std n. I think this was a one, and then we use here read line, read underscore line. Actually, it should be able to find everything on your own if you have correct things imported, but I think that they are not currently like properly imported, and that's why you are not able to see it. But anyway, we are going to continue what we're going to write. So you write mute answer. Basically, you are going to read line, and then you're going to basically accept the answer in one, and basically expect what is your answer. So this should be the one, and this is how you do it. It shows that IO is a built-in name. IO doesn't use cargo at IO. Maybe it works that maybe cargo is not added to my IO. Cargo at IO. Okay, and now it works maybe. Use IO. Use std IO colon colon std. So actually the IO crate was part of std. So instead of doing like this, I could have also done something like this, which is also is fine, that you do IO colon colon stdin. And this is also works like sometimes it is done automatically, and sometimes you have to do it because it doesn't know what you want to do. So you find everything that you want to do, and then what is your correct answer should be printed. Now basically the answer which is given by your terminal is stored in answer, and now we have to simply do a else in if statement, and then you do the answer dot trim dot to lower. Basically you are removing empty spaces, and then you're matching it in lowercase equal to question dot correct answer dot trim dot to lowercase, and then basically you say println, and you say here your answer is correct. Your answer is correct. And then you create a else statement. You say println your answer is not correct. The correct answer is this thing, and then you basically place your correct answer, which is question dot correct answer. Perfect. And then actually you don't need to input std in here, you can just use from IO, and this works. And then we do a CLS. cargo.run. We have to build a lot of things because basically when we like add a new crate, it always build new things. So we are here now, and then we basically yes. So we say 2 plus 2 is 4, which is basically your answer is correct. 2 plus 7 is 27, and it says that your answer is not correct, and this is answer 9. The correct answer is 9. So we have completed that what we have discussed. From the next video, basically what we are going to do is that we are going to not use a CSV. Maybe we introduce something, because every time you run a code, you might get a same question, and we don't want that. So we will introduce a mechanism so that we don't get the same question every time, and every time we run, we get a different question. So for example, if you're practicing for something, you can create like 100 question, and then every time you have give a test, you give in 10 question, and the next time you have 10 different question, and the next time you have 10 different question, till you have exhausted all the question. So but this thing we are going to look in the next video. Till then, please subscribe, and see you in the next video.